Agama, Yoga and Ayurveda. So we'll have some presentations in that. So we have a very young presenter, Sriprada Indrakanti. She told me not to read out her bio, so I'll just tell you something about what I know about her. A young person, a dynamic person who is so much into this field that she is studying, Ayurveda. She has completed 5 years of Ayurveda, and then now she's out to improve the tools of teaching Ayurveda, how she feels it can be taught in an easier way, so she's developing tools for that. And what is unique about her is that she was born in the US, raised in the US, but she came to India, she came to Bharat. She and her father both went all over Bharat to find a good Ayurveda institute. So they did a lot of research. I heard that they've toured for 1 year to find a good institution. And she gave me a lot of insights about how she selected her school. Like she told me that some of the institutions have wonderful websites, but they are not doing much work. And eventually they have settled on, she went and studied in BAMS. She studied in STM College of Ayurveda in Hassan, and she completed her education there, and she's an intern there. So without spending too much time on her bio, I just want to say that these are the kind of young people that we want to see, that who know that there is so much knowledge out here in Bharat, and we have to spend time, we have to give our blood and sweat to learn what they have to offer. So it must have been very hard for her to have grown up there in the US and then spending 5 years in Hassan all by herself, studying, adjusting to everything. And now she's out on a mission to teach, to improve the teaching of Ayurveda, I would say. And so let's listen from her what she has been doing. Over to you, Ayurveda. Sriprada, I call you Ayurveda. Please go.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Ragadirogan satatanushaktan asheshakaya prasritan asheshan autsukya moharatidan jaghana yo purva vaidyaya namostu tasmai. Thank you all for coming for this presentation. I'm so grateful to Indica for organizing this and this opportunity to speak. Today I'll be discussing the pedagogical tools in Ayurveda. And this is going to be such a vast topic, and I'll try to give you glimpses of the interesting aspects. So this is going to be kind of a fun fact session. So what is Ayurveda? This is the only introduction that I'm going to give, as Malaji already spoke about this in detail. Ayusha Sambandhi Veda Ayurveda iti. Ayusha Palakam Vedam Upavedam Atharvanaha. So it is the Upaveda of Atharvana. It actually teaches us theoretical and practical tools to learn medicine and surgery. So it is not just the science of medicine or surgery, but in fact, in addition to all of this, it teaches us the aspects of how to lead life. And that is the essence of Ayurveda. So these are the table of contents where I have classified some of the areas where I felt it's very interesting to observe the pedagogy used. And in Suśruta Saṁhitā, we see surgical pedagogy. And then we see the need to introduce allied sciences. Why should an Ayurvedic doctor study something which is not an Ayurvedic subject? And then we see the Buddhi Medha Karagana. And also in this context, I'll talk about the Caraka Saṁhitā's Medhya Rasayanas. And from Sharangadhara Saṁhitā and Ashtanga Hridaya, these are all texts I'm referring to. And this uses the analogy, the Upamana Pramana as a pedagogical tool. And then we see in the Vaidya Jivana of Lolimba Raja, who is a 17th century AD author, who's an Ayurvedic poet. Actually, so he composes literature and poetry and teaches Ayurveda to his wife Ratnakala in the form of riddles. And so it is a very interesting place to look at. And then we have Caraka Saṁhitā, which talks about storytelling as a pedagogical tool in understanding the knowledge transmission and also disease pathology. So medical pedagogical oath is also present, just like the Hippocrates oath is present. And then we have ethics and value-based education. and selection of a medical treatise, what is the criteria to observe if whether this text is authentic or not, and how do we select that this teacher has all the good qualifications of a teacher, and what are the learning and teaching methodologies present. These are in detail explained explicitly. So these are not things that I have assumed, but rather the last few points that you see in this presentation, the 2nd to 6th points, they're explicitly mentioned that this is how a teacher should be, this is how teaching should take place, this is how learning should take place. So I'll get into the subject. Surgical pedagogy. So in this, there is a Yogya Sutriya Madhyayam in Caraka Sutrasthana, which talks about so many surgical methods. And some of them are the Ashtavidha Shastra Karma, which are Chedanam, Bhedanam, Lekhanam, Eshanam, and then we have Aharana, Visravana, Sivana. And each of these, it tells you how to perform this and how to practice. So it says in the Yogya Sutriya Madhyayam, Yogya Samyak Karma Abhyasaha. What is Yogya? It is actually the practice. It is the good practice, and once you get practice, you get the siddhi. Abhyasat prapyate siddhi. And then Bhedana. So I'll just get a few examples. So in Lekhana, you see, how do you practice scraping? You use the hairy leather of some animals. And how do you practice excision? You use a watermelon. Try to excise from a watermelon. And you see these methods are both sustainable, easy to get, economically feasible, and in that era they had used these methods, and definitely we can incorporate these methods which don't require plastic and other dangerous items. And then we see the need for allied sciences. This is a very interesting point that Suśruta Acharya himself mentions. Ekam shastram adhyano navidyat shastra nishchayam tasmat bahu shruta shastram vijaniyat chikitsakah. Student must know various shastras. And we see this also in the example of Vaidya Jivana, which I'll show you, where there's a riddle. And you see how he uses various shastras to come to teach his wife about Ayurveda. And that's a beautiful instance that I'll talk about. And the Buddhi Medhakara Gana. So how do you practice? What are the ways in which you can improve your intellect and your knowledge, supreme knowledge? And these are Satatadhyayanam, Vadaha, Paratantravalokanam, Tadvidyacharya Sevacha, Buddhi Medhakaro Ganaha. So what are the 4 ways we can improve? By continuously studying. It says in the learning methodologies that you must study continuously. Morning, evening, night. A student's job is only to study and nothing else is described. Study means not only one thing, but as I mentioned, allied sciences. And then we have Vada, discussions and debates, and Paratantravalokanam, the same concept of exploring other branches of the same science, and serving the gurus, which is already mentioned in detail by all the eminent speakers before me. And Medhya Rasayana, which is talked about by Caraka Acharya himself. A few examples of these are how can we intake. So this is definitely something which can be incorporated in any student's life. Taking of Manduka Parni Swarasa, taking the juice of that plant, or Yashti Madhu with milk, or you see Guduchi Swarasa, Shankha Pushpi paste. So all of these are good for improving your mental and intellectual capacity and getting the knowledge easier. The Dharana and Grahana Shakti, everything improves with this. So this is something which we can definitely include and teach students, that these are some ways in which you can improve your intellect. And analogy as a pedagogical tool. So here we see this in the Sharangadhara Samhita. Pittam pangu kapha panguf pangavo maladhatavaha vayuna yatra niyante tatra gachanti meghavat. This is so beautiful that even people who can't understand abstract concepts like vata, pitta and kapha, through this they can understand that pitta is lame, kapha is lame. They cannot move. They require vata, who is full of movement and chalaguna, and he can take them just like the wind takes the clouds. And that is an example given here. Another thing is given here, and this talks about the dangers of excessive use of your indriyas for any activity, how that leads to disturbance in vata. So now, before we looked at how pitta and kapha are lame, we need vata as their savior to take them places. Now we see how dangerous vata can be. If the ruler is not good, then the rest of the people are not. So here it says, Vyayama jagaradhvastri hasya bhashyadi sahasam gajam simha iva karshan bhajannati vinishyati. So if you try to exert in in exercise, in talking too much, laughing too much, staying awake, etc. All of these are so detrimental. It even actually adhyayana is also one of these things which, if you excessively study loudly, it wastes your energy a lot. So this is also one place where we should keep caution. And how does it? He gives a simile that just as a lion which is pulling an elephant towards his cave after killing it, that is a stupid activity because the lion is small and the elephant is huge. It will harm itself in this process. So that's what is given here. And then we see poetry. This is the part I was talking about. Rupam kidrak kamalavadani nufpare saugire syat sambuddhih ka madhuravachane kagni bijasya shashti kasya kvathashvasana shamanu vallabheneti prishta vidvadvandya drutamidamadātsau taram nagarasya. So this is a riddle given by Lolimbaraja. So here in this context, we can analyze it in these elements. The Guru is Lolimbaraja, the Shishya is Ratnakala, and the elements of Priya Sambodha are seen, which I'll talk about in the next. The type is a riddle. The time period, as I mentioned, is 17th century, and the prerequisite knowledge for this is Sanskrit grammar. And those of you who understand can also try to start guessing the answer. But before that, so the first question they ask is, what is the Prathama Ekavachana of Nuhu? And he addresses her Kamala Vadane, one who has such a beautiful lotus-like face. And what is the synonym for Giri in Sambodhana Prathama Ekavachana? And he says here, Madhura Vachane, sweet, one who speaks sweet words. What is Shashti Vibhakti of Agni Bija? Hey Vallabha, you are my supreme lover. And which Shvasana Shamana Kvatha is it? Is the final question. So she has to come up with the answer using the previous three. If you look at the answer, Vidvadvandya, so Ratnakala is being addressed as a praised scholar. His wife is being given so much importance as a student, but instilling her with confidence, and answers it in one word, saying it is Nagarasya, because Na is the answer for the first, Agaha is the second, and then Asya is the third. So ginger decoction is useful in the treatment of dyspnea, is the whole conclusion of this. And so what is the result of this is, this riddles create so much interest in us. I bet even this was so engaging for you. Even if you are not from a medical background, you would have got some interest into it. And also we see that relationship between the husband and the wife was of a guru and shishya. And the guru accommodating teaching methods to suit the nature of the student. So here in this case, it is the wife. So we don't want to talk about it as if she is a very small child. So how does he address her? With using romantic poetry as a genre in several instances across that text. And then also, he's a versatile teacher. He's conveying so many topics now. He has Sanskrit grammar he's talking about, and then he has the topic of medicine, of course, and poetry. So many versatile topics which are being included in one thing. And then we look at storytelling. This is an interesting point. This comes in the first chapter of Ashtanga Hridaya, and it is about Ayurvedasya avatarana. I'll not chant everything, but let me tell you. So Brahma to Daksha Prajapati to Ashwini Kumaras to Indra. That is how it comes, how Ayurveda is said to have come, descended. So in this context, we can understand Brahma as the Atman and Daksha as the Manas, and then Ashwini Kumara, the both of them as the Buddhi together, and Indra as the Indriyas. So how do we perceive knowledge? Actually, if you think about it, the shloka contains the inner meaning of how we perceive knowledge. And the Pratyaksha Pramana aspect as well as the Atma Jnana is conveyed here. So Atreya is said to be the sensory stimulus who is conveying the message. In the Caraka Saṁhitā it's mentioned, Atreya as the Guru and Agnivesha as the Shishya. So Agnivesha is going to respond by writing the Caraka Saṁhitā. So he has written it through motor and it's coming through sensory. So this is a whole way of how we process information, what comes out through it's expressed through our soul, converted into our mind, and then comes through intellect and all that. And then another way where pathology is taught through mythological stories, and the origin of fever is actually taught through Daksha Yajna, the story of Daksha Yajna. Everybody knows about it already. I won't talk about it, but basically when the mind is disturbed, it is considered that it's because of asatmi indriyartha sanyoga. You're taking some objects which are not good for you. Eating an ice cream will hurt your Agni, your internal digestive fire. Similarly, Daksha does not give harvest to Shiva, who is actually the essence of the sattva. And because of that, he suffers the consequences. And the story goes on, and it goes on to... you can see the comparison here briefly. The bricks in the Daksha Yajna represent the stomach. The Homa represents the digestive fire. Daksha Prajapati is the Manas himself, as we saw in Ayurvedasya Avatarana. And then Veerabhadra, who is the Vikritavastha of Shiva, is actually the doshas, Rajas and Tamas. So they are the visheshan of doshas. And then we see Devas, Gandharvas, and all the other people there, as we can compare them to the whole body, all parts of the body. And what is the whole parts of the body? That is how fever travels, right? The heat is spread throughout. So Veerabhadra is causing damage to all of the people in the Yajna Kunda. And then Shiva is disturbed. And this means the sattva, the balance of mind, is disturbed. And Sati, what happens to her? She jumps into the fire. What does that mean? The immunity is gone. The immunity has gone and you have got ama. So now you have to treat for ama. How beautifully the pathology of fever is explained through a story. And this could be a really useful tool for understanding. And the moral of the story, of course, is using the importance of this fever, origin of fever, to understand why Agni is important, why we should maintain Agni. And Caraka pedagogical oath, everybody has already talked about Brahmacharina, Shmashrudharina, Satyavadina, how a student should be. Important aspects here are Amamsadena. So here we can see that Ayurveda was taught to people of all varnas, people who ate mamsam and who did not. But when you are a student, you are not supposed to eat. And also it mentions here Ashastradharina. So Brahmanas were not allowed to carry weapons in general. Wouldn't it be redundant to say that line, Ashastradharina? If it was only taught to Brahmanas, there is no need of telling that line. But he mentions it because in Suśruta Saṁhitā, it is mentioned that people of all varnas can study Ayurveda, but their purpose is different depending on their category. And we can compare it today to actually Brahmanas being the teachers, who are going to guide all other varnas in terms of research. And then the Vaishyas being businessmen, Kshatriyas being the Raja Vaidyas or royal kings. So these are the ways we can look at that concept. Then we have pedagogy of medical ethics. So Bhaskar Govinda Ganekarji, so he has written Vaidyakya Subhashita, not written but compiled so many references from many places across the Shastras, and gave us a tool in which we can use value-based education to study Ayurveda. This is actually part of the BAMS syllabus even today. So in Sanskritam we learn how a person should be. Why are we studying Vaidya? It is considered that Vaidya Samapto Vishaja Dvija Smrita. So he is considered that it is his third birth, or rather, it's almost his third birth when he is becoming a Vaidya, because he gets the sattva of Brahma or Arshas into him. So actually Brahma is inside him after studying so much of knowledge. So that's the respect, and what are you doing to keep up your status is what is mentioned here. Dharmartham, nartha kamartham. You should not do it for any other material gains, but rather only for the reason of dharma. And what is the negative and positive statements used in the same context is te hitva kanchanam rashim pamshu rashim upasate. So if you are not following what I'm saying, it means that you're throwing away a bag of gold for just a heap of dust. And that bag of gold is your punya karma you get from doing Vaidya for free. And then the papa karma is that heap of the heap of dust is actually the material gains that you get. And here you have nahi jivita danadhi danam anyat vishishyate. There is no better danam that you can do than giving of life, because that helps to fulfill the purusharthas. And then we have so many topics about selection of a medical treatise, how you should select a treatise, what are the criteria. Charakacharya himself mentions, you check and 100% my treatise is correct because it follows all these methods, and he gives these guidelines. He gives the qualifications of a teacher, how a teacher should be. He should have clear knowledge. He should be free from ego, envy and anger. And an important point in this is Aptopadesha Pramanam, which is considered the best Pramanam, Shabda Pramanam. So Apta is considered to be one free from doubts, and because their memory is not impaired, and they have the authoritative command on their subject. And the person who is making false claims can never be an apta. And this person has knowledge of past, present and future, and he is free from rajas and tamas. Therefore, you should trust him. This is the reason why he will never tell a lie. And satyam is given utmost importance in this. regard. Teacher-student relationship is also described as a father-son relationship, worshipping the guru, and we already know about these things. Learning methodologies, adhyayanam, adhyapanam, tadvidya sambhasha. And then the method of study, how you have to maintain personal hygiene during studies, physical and mental hygiene. And then we have teaching methodology. In the context of teaching methodology, the seeking or praying for an ideal disciple comes in, as Lalita ji was mentioning. So here, how do you examine who is the ideal disciple? Here you have interesting points about physical and mental fitness of the student. How do you decide who is the right student? Here it says
2 minutes more.
Yeah. Defective tongue and nose cause improper utterance of the text and cause mispronunciation. Therefore, this is my understanding of what was mentioned previously, that he should have a straight tongue, he should have a thin, clear tongue, red tongue. So why would they talk about so many, it sounds weird that the tongue of the student should be straight. Now modern people may think it's weird, but there was a reason for that, because we should not have defective pronunciation. And similarly, sense organs should be good for having the tool of darshana pariksha and pratyaksha praman in order to do clinical diagnosis. And then for reason for taking family background into consideration, we learned about the jatis already. And the mind of the student plays an important role, or else he'll rob both the money of the patient and also his life. So that's one thing. And discussions, we have sandhya sambhasha, vigrahya sambhasha, how to conduct a discussion, how to conduct debates, how do you choose your opponent, what are the qualities on the basis of which you choose your opponent, and what is their level, are they pravara, sama, or madhyama, or pratyavara. And assemblies, the way and what kind of assemblies should you participate in. Yesterday we already saw the Vakyartha Sadas. That is a perfect example of this. We need not talk about it, but the same used to happen for Ayurveda itself. Historical debates are also present in these contexts. And it would look like this on the concept of how many rasas exist. You have Bhadrakapya scholars saying there's only one, Udaka, and some say there are 8. So they give their own justifications and their Purva Paksha, and everything is given in detail. These are documented debates. And the summary of this is we have Tadvidya Sambhasha, we read and we understand. And then we have, teach to apply. And then first we do Adhyayana, Adhyapana, Tadvidya Sambhasha. This is, of course, already talked about the research methodologies in Upanishads, and similarly it's present in Ayurveda as well. These are my sources. Thank you so much for your patient listening.
Thank you very much. So I have a question for you. So the students of Ayurveda, were they being taken to watch debates as a pedagogical way of making
I
them?
think I am not sure about this because I have only read from the text, and in the text Agnivesha is just documenting what his guru was seeing. Okay, I do have one place where they talk about Matsya and Kshira being a Viruddhahara or not. In that context, I do see Agnivesha just coming into the conversation. But because he's a disciple writing this text, he doesn't directly talk about the debates he has participated in, because in this scenario, he is the Shishya. But ultimately, he'll become the Guru. And at that time, if we had a text like that, we would know maybe. Yeah.
And the other question I have is, I have the priority now that I have the mic. Dissection of bodies, dead bodies, that was being done, right?
Yes, that was done. I had not included it, but surgical pedagogical tool dissection was very much predominant. We had several ways of preserving a dead body. That is.
No, but how was it being taught? The dissection was being done by the Guru.
Yes.
Students are learning by watching it.
Okay. How it should be done, what are the things that you should take, and how it should be conducted. Everything is given in Suśruta.
Okay, because I see this description of fruits being used, right?
Yes.
Is that really a valid way of teaching how to do surgery? By cutting
Again,
fruits
it comes
open?
back to sustainability. So it's valid or not. In the olden days, people used to practice sewing on various like flowers. They used to practice with flowers before coming to saris. So you can think of it as a sustainable tool. Beginner's attempt, yeah.
So, for a very great presentation. You are actually inspiration for all the Gen X and the Gen Z is what they call it, right? So it's very beautiful. For all of us. Yeah. So I think I'm just extending the thing, what you mentioned about this pedagogy, right? And some comment was made by Malini ji in her previous presentation that today is how it is being taught. It is a lot of modern thing is derived, like the first year, because I know my daughter is also, the first year is all from the modern thing, right?
Yeah.
So what are you, according to your observation, what are your thoughts how we can get some of this pedagogy back? Because so slowly, actually the thing is that most of the children who end up in Ayurveda, one of the professor of my daughter told that it's an arranged marriage, not a love marriage. Love marriage is MBBS, they don't get marks, so they come to Ayurveda. And then they are forced to marry that. Later on, most of them convert to practice into MBBS only. So how can we get that pedagogical tools back, and what are in your views, how can we revive some of these things?
I think in this regard, Sanskritam plays an important role, and I know Prisha, so she has done a lot of study in this work itself, your daughter. And the thing is, Sanskritam, see, as I mentioned, the Lolimbaraja, the poet, and how beautifully he connected the subjects together. When can we understand it? Well, when we appreciate literature. I think an appreciation for literature is what is really required. By ignoring the beauty of literature and just taking in the highlights of the subject, we may have one conference like this, but we will not have a thorough studying of the medical text.
You think Samskrita is very important if you want to learn Ayurveda?
I think it is the most important.
So if it is Ayurveda being taught in English is not going to be effective?
No, I would not say that. Definitely English is required to convey these terms to everybody, as this is the medium of instruction in many schools. But I think an appreciation for Sanskrit grammar and literature and the way things were connected, to understand that riddle, you need to have so much appreciation skills. Just like you go to an art museum, and if you're not an artist, but still you know how to appreciate the art, we need to get people, an audience who can appreciate such beautiful literature. I am telling you from my experience, I had to search up so much for this beautiful Ayurvedic poet Lolimbaraja. I was so astonished yesterday because after so much searching I remember in some corner of a textbook I had read, he is an Ayurvedic poet, he has written romantic connections with some medicine, some benefit, but they have not taken it in the true sense of how much he has showed his expertise in various fields to convey one topic. If you looked at it in the view of a pedagogy, you would have always understood and appreciated his way of teaching, and that is something I would really like.
Congratulations for such a comprehensive presentation. I have just one question. See, we know the case of Jivaka, who was the physician to Buddha, and he had studied in Takshashila. So do we get any textual references of Ayurveda? What you spoke about are the texts, but actual teaching of Ayurveda in certain dedicated institutions or in whatever, I mean, if we call them universities in general, do we get such references somewhere?
I'll be honest, maybe I have not done enough to tell about this. I don't want to give a definite answer in this.
First of all, Abhinandana. I mean, it's wonderful. And you can actually see Sriprada learning Ayurveda from the heart, right? Because I'm shocked that I don't want to take the name of the universities, but one of the most ancient university in Bharata, there is a whole conspiracy to remove Padartha Vijnana, Itihasa of Ayurveda. People are ridiculing what is Brahma Smrutva. It's mythology. Daksha, and Jwara relationship. And here, such a young girl, she's a very old soul, I'm telling you, who has been able to beautifully put it very scientifically. And we need to spread and help her spread this work, where people are trying to throw away original Ayurveda and replace the curriculum with modern medicine. Bahu dhanyavadaha and Abhinandan.
Thank you,
I also think that her parents deserve a round of applause. Her father is sitting right here. Please come, because these are the parents we need. He has allowed his daughter to, because people go to the US to study, and they, that's where they do that. But he's done the reverse, or rather the original. What people in ancient times, people would come to India to study, and that is what he has done. He sent his daughter to study.
Oh, so sweet. Be blessed, dear. Sriprada, those diagrammatic, those flow charts are your running notes, while you were probably attending lectures?
Actually, they are my study material when I teach kids, because when I teach small kids, they love these stories. I just picked up a few. These are not how I draw normally. I think I'll show you my drawings later, but that's just for them because they love those not so complicated, funny, cartoonish drawings.
Sriprada.
She's been doing. She's developing all animation and things, other things for teaching Ayurveda, which is going.
Okay, amazing. I have one question here, Sriprada. Couple of things really stood out for amazing presentation, like everybody said, hats off and truly inspiring. Couple of things. One is the allegory of the Daksha, yajna and the sati immolation that you related to Ayurveda. It's amazing. It's the first time I'm hearing it as a, like a keen student of Shaiva tradition. Where is this from?
Caraka Saṁhitā Nidanasthana, first chapter.
Oh, amazing.
First
amazing.
shloka.
I'll go look it up. And the second thing is I just wanted to correlate it with, the Vastu Puja, etc. that happened. And you said use the watermelon or pumpkin, etc. for incision. Similarly, in rituals also, they use a lot of, pumpkin and stuff in order to replace where you need to use animal sacrifice or a bali, a lot of pumpkin is used. So I'm sure there must be some connection. It's just a connection, that's all. But amazing, amazing.
I understood that. That's why we have different options. We have a dead animal option, and sometimes we also have a plant-based options for people who have whatever is available. It's based on what is available.
Yes, so I actually have a question now for Sriprada's father. If you can go to the mic. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey of finding a good Ayurvedic institution for her? Like what were you looking at when you were going around?
Yeah. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share the experience. So when Sriprada wanted to study Ayurveda in India, first of all, somebody coming from the US and sending a child to go a different city itself, we will think 10 times, 100 times. In fact, when she was young, we wanted to have her study in a walkable distance. So, but again, when she wanted to go for a college education, then she said she wanted to study in India. Okay, because I was brought up here in India, I was very happy inside. But again, sending her all the way this far is a tough one. Still, we were okay. Then she has put even more conditions. Because I am born in the US, I don't want to be considered as an NRI student there. And I don't want to, she said, I don't want to pay for my studies. I don't want people to think that I am paying for my studies. Then it got even tougher. And then, then again, anyway, long story short, we found an option from Government of India, Ministry of External Affairs, where ICCR encourages students from the foreign to learn Indian traditional subjects, which includes Ayurveda. Initially, actually, we were looking at a very small, because she likes the art, drawings and all, we were looking at Kalakshetra as an option for her to study a short term, 6 months or 1 year. But they said they don't have any short term courses. Then we looked at more, and then Ayush has a scholarship for Ayurveda. Then we went to different schools. We looked at 3-4 places. One is Tirupati, because I am from Andhra. So Tirupati is one, and then we looked at Pune. And then the third one was the Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara College in SDM. So the college, the moment I entered the SDM college, it is like when you see the first time bride, so it is like that. So I love at first sight. So I saw the place and then decided that is the place that she will be safe there. Then we decided and we applied. In fact, we had to wait for almost 8 months to even know. And interestingly, we did not even get a confirmation about her admission. And there is a lot of things that happened in between. We were trying to follow up from different government officials, because it is coming from a government system. So she had to write the NEET entrance exam and then go through ICCR, following up ICCR, Ayush and the college. All the 3 people have to agree and yeah, it was a test for our patients. So anyway, but we decided anyway she has to come to India and study. She took a plane, my wife and her, she came to India without even having a decision whether she will be selected for the college or not. In fact, I teach Bhagavad Gita to children there in the US. I was teaching the second chapter, and then by the time she landed, or on the way she was flying, I got a call when I was in the class. A call that your daughter is selected for Ayurveda to study in India. And then I conveyed that to both of them, and then once they landed in Bangalore, only then they came to know that she got the admission into the college. So there is a lot of uncertainties, but what I've learned throughout my life, and I always tell the next generation also, you have to not look at opportunities or not look at how I can be happy and all. How you can handle a situation, how you handle when it comes to you. That's the most important than trying to find happiness here, there and all. Happiness is not anywhere outside, it is there within you. And so that I try to keep practicing, be in the present, and then so that's how it happened. Once she came here, that's when we came to know. And then, in fact, when they drove from Bangalore to Hassan, 6 a.m. they landed. We didn't even know whether we will be having of course, they got the confirmation admission. There's no hotel. There is no confirmation there will be an hostel accommodation, nothing.
It's not even a big city, right? It's so
not
far
a very
from...
small place. So, but we were prepared to take up anything and everything that comes up. And I was very, very confident. I'm still confident. We have some more things actually happened. While she was studying, this COVID came. She was all alone, and the flights were not there. So there are a lot of things, including the vaccine. She didn't want to take a vaccine. She has still not taken the vaccine, COVID vaccine. I don't know if I can announce. So, yeah, so it is that we as a parent, it was testing, challenging for us. We are still, we have the faith in our system.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you so much. Thank you for being an exemplary parent and giving her all that she needs, all the tools she needs to study what she wants to study. And you have just shown what a parent should be like. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sriprada's name was suggested by Sahana ji to me. She met her at Chinmaya in an IKS meet, and in the beginning I rejected. I was actually skeptical. I was doing it to all the abstract senders. I was saying IKS based pedagogy is not what we are looking at. We are looking at pedagogy itself as IKS. So only if her abstract gives me that feeling that she is actually talking about pedagogy as IKS, I will allow. Once I read her abstract, I was so blown off that I invited her as an invited speaker for 1 hour for a symposium. We were conducting a symposium on Vada Paddhati, Vada as a system, and all the other speakers were very senior Nyaya scholars and other Shastra scholars. She was one of those. She was given a chance to speak for that 1 hour on debate as a pedagogical tool in Ayurveda. Just on that topic, she spoke for 1 hour. So I was wondering if you can speak on just debate, one of the pedagogical tools as 1 hour, how can you accommodate within these 20 minutes? She showed that skill also, that she spoke about. Just within the time given to her, she could talk about all other pedagogical tools. And to those skeptics among us who keep saying, what new we are contributing, every time, devil's advocate Nomesh ji, would you like to use that word? I would like to say, I was asking every time Sriprada also, in an MBBS course today, in an allopathic medical course today, is there a course, a paper on medical pedagogy? is there? They don't have it. So do we have not to tell the medical colleges all over the world, MBBS colleges, medical colleges, that you guys don't have a medical pedagogy course, whereas Ayurveda has a medical pedagogy incorporated as part of the course itself? Do we have not to tell them? Okay? And do we have not to tell them, she was mentioning medical ethics also, do we have a course on medical ethics within any MBBS course, medical course anywhere in the world? So are we not contributing new things, not just to the Ayurveda colleges? That's a given problem. They are removing Sanskrit, they are removing Nyaya, everything from Ayurveda colleges. That has to be restored within Ayurveda colleges, okay. But the medical education in general all over the world has so much to learn sitting at the feet of Ayurveda. There is so much that Ayurveda has which allopathic medical courses do not have. I have been telling her, she every time keeps telling me, all these are general pedagogical tools. What is so much new in this and all that? Every time I keep telling her, please ask this question. And when I said this, she told me, she went back to United States and asked some people in the medical colleges there, do you have debate as a course? They said, no, but why? Why should we have debate? She convinced them. And she has been doing this and she has to do it and all of us have to do it. Let us tell people that they have to learn from us. Not that we are only saying we are validating what we have through their vocabulary. We are telling them, you have so much to learn from us. Okay?
Thank you, Nagaraj ji, for that intervention.